Never before has a post-apocalyptic game ruptured, abused, and frankly left my butthole at the zenith of its elastic capabilities to this extent. The Last of Us launched a torrential downpour on my previously virgin anus to the point where a doctor would be left astonished at how my small intestine pushed past my diaphragm and entered my esophagus. These cheeseburger-wielding, bloated Discord mods who haven't jacked off to a real woman since the financial crisis, with every step they take enough to shift tectonic plates, are the worst of them. When you find free resources in this game, you don't rejoice with jubilation at the increased tools at your disposal. You insert that butt plug in nice and tight, hoping that whatever monstrosity about to engage with you doesn't lodge said pleasure device to where your kidneys were previously located. The Last of Us Part 1 finally released on PC, and while it takes a NASA computer to avoid its many crashes, I was able to discover the willpower to persevere and complete this game. An all-time classic. If we compare this game's story to P-Hub, no man could last throughout this game without furiously masturbating to the point all that comes out at the end of the 5th round in 20 minutes is a puff of smoke and a flag that says bang. Let's go smoke some crack off the ass of God, I'd lick the fucking grime off your chocolate starfish if you just ask, and play The Last of Us Part 1 on crack. The game starts off with, wait, she wasn't on the cover. Oh no, you wouldn't! We meet the titular coverman Joel trying to get Tommy to secure a job from what I can only assume to be a military contractor. However, they seem to be questioning his ethics. The fact he has any is a little bit of an issue.
We'll talk about it in the morning. He's the contractor.
Yes, a little bit of sweet tea, a hint of cornbread, ooh, a healthy dose of Second Amendment, and... do I smell a dash of hardcore Republican? Texas man wakes me from my slumber with me retaliating by calling him a broke-ass bitch and that mom is rolling faster than a Beyblade in her grave. He asks what I'm still doing. I was asleep until you came in trying to secure the rights to the F-45, Joel. What do you mean, why am I still awake? Due to Joel's circadian rhythm being uncalibrated, I gift him a watch for his birthday. He does a bit of trolling until he gets around to asking where I got the money for this.
Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs.
We're too broke for him to care, as we see how desperate you need to be before a person believes, yeah, child labor's okay at this point. I fall asleep as Joel takes me to my room, about to wake up tomorrow wondering what brazen witchcraft teleported me to my bed. I get an unsolicited call in the middle of the night, but as I get to telling him my car's extended warranties are perfectly in order, it turns out it's Uncle Tommy asking for my dad before he cuts off. Extremely rude, but after that attack on manners, I'm in no rush, grabbing the birthday card for dad as we get a rare opportunity to observe how a case of daddy issues develops. I lazily walk around the house, hoping Joel recognizes my slurred, half-slumbered words as coherent human sentences.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
I decide to check on how my positions are doing, realizing I shouldn't have shorted the Taliban token the other day, nearly paralyzing me from shock at the realization that my holdings have been erased, much like the bonfire spectacle the city's putting on right now. I walk on expeditiously and get Dad's phone, who's making a run at most missed calls, and all of this without the caller ID being Mom even. Most impressive. I get to his office just in time to see his masterful evasion from the trans rights crowd, to whom he just professed his love of Harry Potter. He orders me to stay away from the door, but my curiosity takes precedence as he says the Coopers are sick. What are you talking about? He looks just fine to me. I mean, I've never been horny enough to say fuck it and replace my girl's tampon with my tongue, but to each their own. Jimmy fails to realize I'm a southerner in the United States and I came out the womb with a piece.
You shot him?
That is a remarkable observation.
I saw him this morning.
And now you get to use him as inspiration for a burgeoning gore career. Now let's get out of here. Tommy arrives and we get going as the radio station seems to be down, but I fill them in on the fact it's open season against turbans again.
That's Lewis's farm. I hope that son bitch made it out.
He didn't.
We get to a family with a kid who are asking for help.
Who do you think you're doing? Keep driving.
It seems Joel is trying really hard to secure the next contractor, huh? Well, child labor and abandonment are good enough starting points, I suppose. Unfortunately, it seems our escape route coincides with the lineup to sleep with Sneeko's girlfriend, but as the guy in front of us gets out to show his clips, oh no! You must be tickling my cockhole. Chris Chan's escaped. Quickly, get the grandmas out of here. We turn into a group of people running away from something, but it seems Joel is too busy practicing for the SS officer corps Corps tryouts and presses on. We get through and a car rams us, but Joel was on the cover, so he's still in pristine condition. One of the trans rights activists from earlier recognizes me and almost murders me until Tommy puts that stand your ground law to good use. Sarah's leg is broken, and with Tommy realizing the people from earlier weren't just running a marathon, I carry Sarah, giving Tommy the blicky and asking him to protect us. Holy shit, he's mounting her! Is it necrophilia if it's a corpse with a corpse? I'm sure there's a word for that. God damn, she really has him tapping out from that BJ. The tongue must be hugging him like a breakfast wrap. Ah, Tommy, you son of a bitch.
Those people are on fire.
Where? Oh my god, how does Texas have gas at $3.53 a gallon? The economy is about to give my wallet the Gatorade symbol from 2K. Running into the fire would be just as effective a survival strategy as reading the Torah publicly in 1930s Germany, so we decide to take an alleyway. Tommy finally does something as we make our escape through a restaurant, but Tommy assures me he'll be fine and stays back since I got Sarah and this isn't the Walking Dead zombie. Alright, never mind, they're about the same speed it seems. Last second, a soldier earns his paycheck but has to check in with command and control before he lets us through. His commander must still be on the payroll of the president as he gives the order to fire upon civilians, but just as it looks like it's Jover, Tommy reintroduces the soldier to whatever enlightened being created him. He shows up without the zombies he was holding back, not surprising considering they maxed out at the pace of a brisk Oh no, I forgot she wasn't on the cover. After that thrilling ride of an intro, Hey, I've seen this one before. Oh, that brings me back as they word for word, bar for bar recite exactly what the news was saying back in 2019. At least until the last part, we never really had a full-on military dictatorship take over day-to-day operations. The military isn't without opposition as the Fireflies are clamoring for their legislative branches back. It's summertime as I wake up 20 years later to a knock on the door as a dirty woman. Despite the fact she's so flat it looks like she slides into her pants like socks, I am currently resisting blowing my prostate as I'm approximately 5 seconds away from flopping around like a balloon you forgot to tie. She helps herself to my alcohol. Did you know I invented alcohol? In my spare time, needed something spicier to use as lube, cause I'm tough. Intrigued at my innovations, she did the job we both had to do by herself because she's petty, and to my surprise, and being a southern conservative with antiquated beliefs on women, the deal went off without a hitch, as she was able to secure enough food stamps to last us for months. She got jumped on the way home as Joel thinks she's seeing ghosts. They reveal themselves to be Robert's men, someone we're after, but she did manage to secure Robert's location before her pursuers had the misfortune of being disconnected from Earth's servers as we conclude it's now or never. We only have a few hours till curfew as this is literally, unironically, 1984. They drag out some civilians and I watch as one of them is infected and gets injected with what I can only assume to be 100 grams of fentanyl from the coffers of the CIA's finest. The last guy made his escape, but not exactly textbook form of zigzagging, acting like he was in the Skyrim intro.
You're not gonna kill me!
Archers! Anyone else feel like running?
Tess obtained new papers that surprisingly work to get us through, but the Taliban token is going to the moon right now as our plan fails spectacularly. We decide to do this the hard way and wrap around from outside the containment zone. NPC guard number 2 gives Tess the rundown as I observe that Black has the Wait, how did you capture his king? Is this witchcraft even allowed? I wasn't expecting Chess 2 to come out so soon where you have underage pawns to attract enemy bishops. We get through the pathway, load up on gear before seeing the most fluid put on a backpack scene I have ever had the pleasure of subjecting my corneas to. I only have 4 bullets left in my arsenal, putting the first couple to good use. I boost up Tess as we finally touch grass.
Ain't been out here in a while.
It's like we're on a date.
Somebody get Commissioner Gordon to put the bat signal up immediately. The Rizzler seems to have escaped Arkham Asylum. Robert stole our guns, which is why we're hunting him, as it seems the method of pollination for this virus is sport in nature. Some dude's mask broke and asks for help as I induce the ancient ritual my ancestors used to eradicate the Black Death.
What are those?
I refuse to indulge him, however, since I take no enjoyment unless they're begging me for their lives.
Come back.
We arrive at more zombies as I tuck them in to rest while Tess decides feminism isn't for her after all and promises to craft the greatest sandwich my taste buds have ever been subjected to if I do all the heavy lifting. We hire a coal boy to make sure the coast is clear and arrive at Tess's hood where my boy Terrence gets turned down before he can even recite one of the 50 pickup lines he learned from Hustlers University. Of course, considering his ass is built like Sid the Sloth, that doesn't necessarily surprise me. These dogs sold out within hours for half a month's worth of food stamps. assessing that they aren't being kept as pets for that price. We can only hope their fate is well clear from the tyrannical hands of a furry at this point and the zoophilia they'd be subjected to.
You touch it, you buy it.
You know what? Let me show you why the football team called me half a foot broke. Malik here acting all tough. The second test shows up. Sit your goofy ass down, you mighty morphin meat rider. You ain't no stepper. We get some info on Robert's whereabouts from a guy who just got done snorting industrial grade jet fuel and meet up with his scouting party who advises us to turn back. But after a civilized discussion, we are able to come to the agreement that Tess just downed a bottle of testosterone and needs to burn off all that rage. This game's gun mechanics are all about flanking, which I perform masterfully until we get to the part where I have to hit my shots.
George, way off. It's the side of the backboard.
After a perfect rendition on the life of Helen Keller, we sneak up on the other guards as I prove myself a master of stealth before chasing down the last guy as I hit him with the Mike Tyson Bethel. We locate the son of a YouTube don't demonetize me I beg of you. Hold on, that's not Robert. This dude's about to save a dwarf from a castle on top of a cliff. He's about to offer up his left pocket to Michael Schofield after getting indicted on EDP-like charges. I uncover a shiv made of a screwdriver. Excellent. Instead of stabbing my enemies, I'll offer to fix their leaky roofs. They'll let me right in. My masterful secrecy skills dumbfoundingly fail as I'm forced to treat them like innocent minorities, walking down the streets of a white neighborhood, arriving at Robert's office who unloads his clip. Mags, excuse me, into the ghost Tess and Nicholas Cruz saw before running off. He makes a wrong turn as he tries to schmooze his way out. Now, if he could jump over a piece of paper, he probably gets away here.
Whatever it is you heard, it ain't true, okay?
The guns.
Okay, that part is true. Joel proves his silver tongue extremely persuasive, sweet-talking Robert into telling us that the Fireflies have them. We decide to team up with Braun and get our guns back from the Fireflies.
That is a stupid idea.
Which Tess, who still hasn't burned off all that testosterone, says is a stupid idea before saying a more prudent strategy is to go ask the terrorist organization to give our weapons back. Excellent. We'll still have enough time to preach the Bible to ISIS militants in Iraq right after. Marlene, the Queen Firefly, shows up wounded and wants to speak to Robert, but he's taken a sworn vow of verbal celibacy for life, foiling her plans. She says she'll hand over the guns only if we smuggle something out of the city, giving us even a hefty reward on top of that for our troubles. Problem is, the military have turned the Fireflies into their fuck toy, but before we can negotiate further, the soldiers show up. After an attack that would make 9/11 look like a losing play in Jenga, Marlene says the Taliban is turning to us as their last hope. They wanted to leave the city, but the military said no boss, you won't do shit, forcing her group's hand. I collect some screws that will somehow be used to saw off my shotgun later as Joel shows his romantic side once again, staring at the clearly struggling crippled woman trying to open the door, not helping until she begs. After that moment of what Patrick Bateman's superfans would call Sigma behavior, soldiers are patrolling the bridge we need to go through, so we have to stealthily get by them. Got it. I am a master of stealth. After I suffer from a stroke, a thrown bottle off by about 10 inches proves ineffective, but these hands don't. After getting Marlene to once again beg, an 8-year-old wielding a nail filer jumps us as Tess expertly disarms her before Marlene tells us we are smuggling the 8-year-old to the Capitol building. Well, it's nice to see that Epstein's will lives on even after tragically killing himself in his cell by decapitating his head with an axe before shooting himself in the back 5 times. Tess goes to see the weapons as I have to watch the kid to both our dismays. Oh hey, she's the cover girl. It was my brother Tommy who told her she could rely on me, but he left both of us, so I'm certain that phrase is nothing more than a guilt trip. I decide to test this kid's mettle as I am thoroughly impressed by the fact she doesn't even flinch as I attempt to shoot her in the head 5 times. In fact, she isn't even looking at me, much more interested in the gravel than the 8mm I have pointed at her cranium. Alright, even Joe's Dilfast struggled with the jump. No way, Ellie. Well, I didn't account for the fact that she was able to phase through matter. That one's on me.
Oh, you need to smuggle things?
Yep.
Like illegal things?
What do you think smuggling is? No one's trying to jump the border with a bag full of Kit Kats. Of course it's only illegal things. Like Kinder Eggs, for example. I get to sleeping as I tell a pre-transitioned Elliot Page to do whatever.
The watch is broken.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood.
Oh wake up to her saying I mumbled my social security number in my sleep as the amount of Joels in this country have now multiplied, informing me she's never been outside before. Tess comes back saying if she didn't know any better, she'd think the US military evacuated this quarantine zone too with how much weaponry Marlene is offering. Marlene didn't even want us to smuggle Ellie. We weren't even in JV, but considering her group's prostate has been thoroughly flattened by the dong of the military, we're her only hope. After making it through the truck, we get jumped by the boys in blue as they test us, which all goes swimmingly until Ellie tears the soldier's LCL, leaving me and Tess to Shaq and Kobe the rest of the two soldiers. Ellie turns out to be infected. She shows us her bite as it looks like a resected vagina that decided to become the best like no one ever was, catching all the STDs as its real test. The bite is 3 weeks old, but everyone turns in 2 days, and while I might not be the best at mathematics, I'm fairly certain 3 weeks is significantly a longer period of time than 2 days. We're forced to move because of military, as it's time to sneak around avoiding the police lights. Unless you're the girls, of course, you just walk right on through, no one will care.
I hear him up ahead.
Okay. Never thought I'd play a game where the soldiers would use the term ups. What are you gonna do, slide to get revenge on your boys now? Look, an unarmed black man! Go, 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 go! The soldiers are finally ordered to break off pursuit, making it through the sewers to the other side. The entire reason we're transporting Ellie is because doctors can use her to find a vaccine, but Joel isn't having it. Tess is, though, and with her leash firmly attached tightly to Joel's scrotum, I have no choice but to follow her lead.
What the hell was that?
I'm sure someone is just mashing a pen very fast, nothing to be alarmed about. We get to an abandoned building that would give the Leaning Tower a run for its money at Limbo, meeting a clicker who sees not with its eyes as the Great Barrier Reef is being worn as armor, but by hearing like a bat. We sneak by another, and after Ellie briefs us on the situation in her pants, we decide it's a good idea to walk on platforms exposed to weather and bombs over the last 3 decades. I mean, the rest alone should have torpedoed us like a cruise missile, or so you would think. I get my second weapon, a revolver, which isn't that much better than the starting pistol, aside from the fact that my starting pistol gets no ammo from this point onwards. It's literally Christmas if I find even a single bullet on my starting Glock for some reason. It's strange. As you all know, I am a master at shit. Well, that's why I suffer through all those COD 1 Kino der Toten matches for moments like this. After Tess rides my nuts, making me think she's gonna ride my nuts later, we find a Molotov cocktail that Joe lights before shoving up his anus, showing us an effective way to trim ass hairs, without plucking nor sending a razor down there, although I do question the innovation considering you trip once and now you're trying to sneak past clickers with a lethal blood alcohol content. Final boss is a point with about 7 to 8 clickers, but I'm prepared, throwing a brick, making all the clickers follow the noise. After my anus runs through the entire football team, I finally make it up the ladder and out, but Ellie made the costly mistake of stealing one of their body pillows as the entire anime convention comes at us at lightning speed. I managed to squeeze in there last second, however, my nose is going to be out 10 to 12 weeks with a stench injury. We move through a museum as I drop the logs, forcing me and the girls to separate, making sure to move my hands off the keyboard when I see the clay. Okay, well, fucker must have Nemo in there giving him directions like Ratatouille. How the hell did he hear me? I make it through to a runner trying to give Tess a hickey, saving her until Ellie calls for us and we have to last stand for a while. Hey Tess, you doing okay?
Just a bit winded.
I set up a plank and try to give Ellie advice. Ellie isn't careful, she's about to have me in the new Rise of Kingdoms commercial. What do you mean I can't assault a preteen? I have 20 million power in Rise of Kingdoms. Me and Ellie bond over the view of the Capitol building as we cut to us making it there and completing the game. Hold on, let me see. Nope, just over 2 hours at this point, and considering there's only 2 people on the cover screen instead of 3, I've got life savings on Tess dropping dead in the next 30 minutes. We break in to find the Firefly agents even outside the city being turned into the military's plaything. With the Firefly dead, Ellie clueless on where to go, Joel ready to give up, Hotel Travagoed, and my life savings on the line, Tess is still there for some reason, fighting tooth and nail for the suicide mission, saying this is her last stop. Oh no!
She's infected.
Tell him to bring me my money.
Oops, right?
Oops. Oops. You're about to meet JFK and you're talking about oops? Dropping your phone is oops. This right here is at least a night unfucked up. She asks me to take her to Tommy's since he was a Firefly, but when I say no, she guilt trips me, leaving me confused as to whether she really was on my nuts all this time. No time to contemplate as the Gestapo have arrived and Tess says she'll defend, allowing us to escape. Ellie is flabbergasted we left her to die at the hands of the SS. What do do you want me to do? She had a few hours to live at most. I'm not Superman. Tess has her brains blown out, but still finishes with a positive KDA as I obtain my third gun. A rifle as I blow so many heads, my WWE theme song is now the Lana Rhodes jingle. I slap up this dude so hard he begs for mercy, but I give him my signature 6 beers deep and a 12-pack to the wife attack to finish him. I quickly escape before more show up. Sorry, Ellie, you're on your own. Since manpower won't work, they send in an armored personnel carrier that misses every shot it takes. I thought I was at a Clippers game with Pandemic P and Westbrook making the rim sound like Afghanistan again. We get to another sport, Airy. Hold on, she really is immune. Ellie reminds me she can't swim, a liability at this point. If I was Joel, I'd just leave her there. It's not child abuse. The Spartans did the same thing after all. I just follow the Greek religion now. I wonder if that would be a reasonable defense in court. Your Honor, he didn't abandon his child. He was just practicing his religious freedoms given to any American as their God-given right. I grab a platform as she sits on it, looking ready to spring into action in case Dr. Octopus runs through our hood. We make it out as Ellie is trying to be nice, but Joel has really embraced his inner asshole, as the first point is literally 1984. The second point is fair, to be honest, and the third one is Xi Jinping's catchphrase. We're going to go meet Bill to grab us a car as Ellie's disappointed look almost makes me want to swear off violence. Almost. We hike through the woods as it appears to be Ellie's first time, but I break the jubilation by explaining to her that Marlene is probably going one-on-one against Kobe at this point. My first upgraded melee weapon is fit for homicidal intent, getting a TCLR stamp of approval. It seems that Joel has no clue where Bill is, he just finds him. That's reassuring, with our plan boiling down to something's going on over there with smoke. Let's check it out. As I'm looting a house, Ellie sounds like she's trying to blow into a popped balloon, making a pitiful excuse for a whistle. I tell her after we secure the car, we're going to Tommy's, who'd know where to take you, as Ellie gets her first taste of the world before plague with the turning. Wonder what that's about.
She'd punch a hole through your stomach.
Mortal Kombat. She sifts through her first vinyls, lamenting at the fact no one will ever get to listen to these anymore, not knowing that the last time anyone listened to any of these, Germany was still split in two. We get to Bill's handiwork that disintegrated the coral reef version of the Earth Girl before finding a bow of his, deciding to rightfully claim it by calling on the ancient tradition of finders keepers. Showing these clickers, I'm Hawkeye with the blicky. I tell Ellie if Bill went to a therapist, the therapist would need 4 more therapists, and to let me do the talking. I sense a runner and sneak up to it. Oh no. As I shrivel up my anus like a reverse flower blooming, I know it's hiding here somewhere as this round of hide and seek goes to me. After disabling a bomb trap, I get masterfully baited as I'm stuck upside down, sending Ellie to cut me down. I'm stuck defending her in this unorthodox fashion, but have about 2 rounds. Never mind, my anus starts mass producing bullets as I use them to take out the runners until Ellie cuts me down. Syndrome is what I'm diagnosing you with. How the hell did you flip the fridge? She finally frees me last second, but a runner tries motorboating the flatulence coming out of my lactose intolerance butthole until I get saved by Bill. We make our grand escape, getting to Bill's safe shelter. Oh my god, it's Jack Black. Jack locks up Ellie and pulls the tool on me, forcing me to turn around as Ellie breaks free and hits the man with the gun in the arm with the pipe. Now, I'm not so sure about the thought process behind that, since unless you can hit him with the force of 2 teranewtons, I'm fairly certain it won't end well for you. The man is rightfully pissed as I disabled all his defenses before Ellie remembers what I said earlier, and proceeds to use those words as wet wipes, telling Bill he owes me, forcing me to cut to the chase. He laughs in my face and says I should take his food too while I'm at it.
By the looks of it, you could lose some of that food.
Whatever favors you think I owe you ain't worth that much.
Actually, Bill, they are.
I'm gonna do this.
That is unspoken riz right there. If we don't get Batman on the case, none of our panties will be safe and dry.
Best stay right on my ass.
Can't miss it.
Knock it up.
Prometheus might have given fire to man, but he'd never guess we'd end up manufacturing it from our fingertips, cause Ellie is ruthless for no reason whatsoever. The type of person who'd look at an orphan and go,
Yeah, where your mom at?
We get to his underground cellar as Ellie writes her thesis on how she needs a gun, but I quickly veto that idea much to her dismay as she claims I can't shoot without the perks. Bill remarks on how Ellie's dad is the only man alive with justifiable reason to Niles vanish and spend the next 20 years scouring this earth for some milk, asking questions about Tess that Joel doesn't really want to talk about. Bill actually tries to get me to abandon Ellie as he tells me the story about a partner of his who was so far on his nuts that he was pulling him down.
Hey! What'd I say to you when we walked down the steps? What'd I say?
I'm just fixing your stupid pile.
Don't touch.
God damn it.
Finally, it's over for these coral reef heads and runners alike. I may not be the greatest sniper with a gun, as you might as well give Helen Keller a basketball and tell her to go stop LeBron, but when it comes to a pump, I might as well be Rambo, as my urbanness is on full display here. He also teaches me how to craft a nail bomb that looks like a carpenter in a can you throw at a broken stool to magically fix, but it's a lot more deadly than it sounds. The plan is to get the battery from a military convoy that accidentally mentioned how women deserve rights on one of their patrols before being swarmed by every 4chaner in the state, leaving the truck with the battery just waiting for us to take. The problem is you'd have a better chance of storming Area 51 with the other Redditors as backup. Bill remarks that if Ellie took anything, he's gonna make her wish she was a Uyghur in China, and gets to the school where I masterfully throw a brick to distract the clickers, sneaking through because we have to be careful and quiet else they'll see ya.
Hold up. I got a key for that gate.
We're almost have the dead silence perk equipped. These clickers really only are after Dilf saw. There's a house with plentiful supplies but guarded by zombies, which I don't want to deal with, so I skip it. A choice I will regret later when I'm rationing out the gunpowder in every bullet, so much so that even moms who pour water into shampoo bottles would scoff at. Ellie goes through a doggy door as we get to a clicker dinner party, and being the southern United States, I know if they catch me crossing their lawn into their house, I'll be dealing with the Second Amendment with my corpse's asshole the target of their tongue's befriendment. Hey Ellie, the pool is wonderful. You should hop in. Oh wait. Although being only knee length, it was probably more the fact it looks like Shrek ejaculated into it while beating it to the Resident Evil mommy more than her not being able to swim. Kobe! We get to the school as it is time for another masterful stealth mission where a single clap of dummy thick cheeks is almost certain death. Anyways, my training skills have been refined and honed in the trenches of Kino. These pose little problem at all. We get to the truck, but more runners are coming, and with the door locked, we have to go through the window. Move, Ellie! I'm somehow able to make it through, avoiding the clicker who wants to tell me about the Subaru and various other perks I can get by going to Iraq 6 months a year to get shell shock. We hold them off while Bill pops the hood, but the battery is gone and this guy sits there stun-locked like he found out his wife went to Miami with her girlfriends over the summer. We maneuver our way through to the gymnasium where as I'm dealing with the resident of Mom's basement at the age of 35, I'm stuck with popping his bubble wrap to weaken his defenses before I tell him his body pillow is no replacement for a real woman, which is more than enough to get him to agree to die, and we make our escape. After an argument over milkers versus chocolate starfish curtains, Bill is astonished as it seems we've located the Hawaii variant of Hannah Baker, who turns out to be Bill's partner. He starts giving me an anatomy lesson on what to look for when I'm trying to determine if someone's bitten or not before he mentions that his dick wasn't that big anyway, but through the tears in his eyes you realize that, yes, that log he was packing was health inspector levels.
Look at me. See how I'm all clean and glistening and shit. That's hygiene, nigga. You can call me the health inspector.
Good news is Frank was the one who took the battery. To embark on a road trip to Hawaii, I'm sure, as we now have a car before I get the opportunity to peruse the house and find some perks, which can be used as upgrades in this game, sort of like a synthetic TCLR subscriber button. Of course, nowhere near as powerful as the real thing. It was enough to at least give Joel enough juice to sponge a few more bullets than he normally would. I find a letter addressed to Jack Black, paraphrased as, "Fuck you, bitch. Your pussy was as loose as School of Rock was unwatchable." And I'm leaving. Sayonara and aloha to my new life in Hawaii. I give the letter to Jack, who was less than amused by his former part. We don't waste no paper, give me that. But he really thinks the apocalypse is an excuse to litter. Don't make me get Greta Thunberg on the line. I'm sure your fat ass's carbon footprint dumbfounds even pro-archaeologists who mistake it for a T-Rex's. I give Ellie some words of encouragement because she's been worthy of the moniker urban as of now. We get the car out and have to push it to recharge the battery. Listen, I'm not sure how cars work. I'm the type of guy to pay $120 for an oil change. But we have to roll it down the hill as we deal with runners in between, but the clickers are still by far my biggest ops. Good news is Jack's 450-pound frame of pure triglycerides is more than enough of a distraction as I show the runner why CPS has my address topping their VIP list. Come on, Bill, you got this. I believe you. Come on, one more. We'll get the car down the hill and start it as we're forced to hop in the back and let a 14-year-old who's built like she's 8 drive us around, and I'm not gonna lie, she's better than most adults are at. She even hit him with the skirt. We drop off Bill as he tells us if we somehow succeed in the smuggling operation, we'll use my smegma as body wash wash for a week. I try to give my condolences, but he says if he sees me again, he'll use my pussy as his sharpener. Not really an effective insult since he hasn't seen his pencil since Washington crossed the Delaware. I'm driving us to our destination as Ellie whips out a comic book, enraged at the fact cliffhangers exist. She took this stuff from Bill's place, but it's not as if he can stop us now. What's he gonna do? Run after us? He'll be out of breath before he gets to the front door. She also took my man's explicit photos. No! The health inspector makes another appearance, it seems, as... Wait, what do you mean stuck together? I mean, it's not the nomenclature I would use to describe anal. What image is she looking at? Are a few of the guys trying to recreate the Gordian knot? Yeah, I'd like to see Alexander slice through our queer protuberance.
I'm not even tired.
We're forced to take a detour as we get the cover album to their new Western album coming out to a store near you with all the regular classics. Some guy had some bad Taco Bell last night, but Joel knows better. This dude's not white! Taco Bell would never wreck his innards like Jeffrey Dahmer. We crash the car as we're taken hostage, and after almost slipping on a shard of glass, I tell my manhandler to look where he's going, and show him what could possibly happen if he isn't careful next time. I catch him using Ellie as Will Smith's punching bag, making sure he understands that's no bueno for the next life. This genetic defect charges me with my shotgun out, enraged at the disrespect as I show him I got hands too. Afterwards, I open the garage for Ellie, determining we've made ops with the White Glove Society from Fallout. Ellie finally learns how to whistle and decides to go off, tracking every thug in the state to our location, but I am a master with Genghis Khan's switch.
Get him!
We get to the hotel, make our way through, and show the hunters I am the apex predator, getting to an elevator, and just as I get Ellie over the edge, Leonidas has had enough of my shit and kicks me down, telling Ellie not to come after me as dark alleyway check, creepy undertones positive, havoc wrecked on my undergarments affirmative, yup, clicker season. Early game clickers were fairly difficult, but with the Imperial German Tears Collector I turned them into my plaything, getting the badge from the CEO of the Grand Budapest Hotel before making my way through. As I make my way up the ladder, Leonidas is bloodlusted, and with the tables reversed and my urethra infiltrated with a sounding object, all hope is lost until Ellie hits him right between the eyes.
I shot the hell out of that guy, huh?
Bro's about to collect 100K from King Von at this rate. She feels sick, of course, not being a TCLR subscriber. Guilt is not a foreign concept to her as she feels bad before Joel whips out the figurative belt, not thanking her for saving him. He says he's afraid Ellie would have shot him instead, but it isn't like Ben Simmons was taking the shot, so I fail to see how she would have missed her target and hit Narnia instead. We finally get through to the outside, but it's swarming with ops, and this rifle is just sitting here waiting to be used. I give it to Ellie, who is somehow strong enough to use her undeveloped frame to handle the kickback of a rifle. At this point, I'm expecting Hasbullah to show up and shoot one of these things at his cat or something, with how little kickback this game seems to think rifles have. She assures me she has experience, though, as she has shot BB guns at rats after all, being the same thing, of course. I mean, the logic worked for Fallout 3, right? After Joel kind of thanks her, she's given the morale boost she needs. The opposition decide to bundle together as I get my pentakill with the nail bomb. Ellie, though, is using her morale boost extremely well. At this point, I'm fairly certain the next aid package to Ukraine is going to include Ellie. Her sniping skills are going to send the Russians running back to Moscow with that thing. Her urbanness being unmatched unless we're talking Lee or Kenny, of course, I decide to give her the pistol as she is a permanent member of the team. After all, if African warlords can use them, why can't I? We get to some mercs executing an innocent civilian who had the audacity to breathe near them, but considering their APC is made out of vibranium, we can't do nothing.
I pray to God these tourists show their faces.
Here I am! Buddy's the type of guy to ask where the hoe's at, and when you show him, he acts like he just saw Man Ray frozen in the man cave. We see the last movie Joel ever saw with his daughter as I start crying uncontrollably. This fucker found 25 cans of bacon in an army storage facility one day, and I quickly act to stop his impending artery cloggage, blowing his face in before he can finish the other 24 cans. The APC also makes an appearance and is impervious to every tool in my arsenal, but that didn't stop me from throwing every bullet I had before finding out I have to escape and make my way to a wall ledge. Moving through to the end as I get grabbed and am forced to use force to kill my assailant, but Riley from the Boondocks has a gun trained at my cranium, forcing me to back off as we realize these guys aren't with the hunters. Sam and Henry entered the city with a group and got split off by the tank and hunters, and now they're trying to make it out, so we decide to go with them, as being black in a horror game, we can use them to catch a few deaths, increasing our own survival chances. He acts a lot less suspicious than most would when finding out a 50-year-old man is escorting a little girl across the country, but after hiding from an APC carrier, Sam wants a toy, but Henry says, "Don't make me spank you in front of company," forcing him to choose between getting the toy or grabbing the belt. Sam asks Ellie how old she is, and she responds with 14 as Sam says, "What a coincidence. So am I."
Oh, you're 14, huh?
We get to their safe house where they have blueberries for sustenance and even have a plan to get by the guards. He wants to join the Fireflies, but considering the military is purging them, I tell him it isn't the best idea. The reaction I get out of him is suboptimal at best, but Joel ruins his will to fight with one word.
Easy.
We get up the next day as me and Henry compete to see who gives the best head as the sniper hit the clicker in one shot, but against a moving target such as myself, they stand no chance. Getting through last second before the tank shows up. I get the others on the ladder, which breaks, and with the walls of Constantinople getting the Mehmed II treatment, Henry says he'll pray for me and Ellie's dumbass jumps down. Her attachment issues must be of biblical proportions. If you ever wanted to see Moses part the seas firsthand, just put Joel on the opposite bank of the Nile from Ellie and watch her work. I make my way through, catching body after body. This extra time gave the tank enough time to catch up to us, as we somehow have the luck of being up against stormtroopers, making our way to the edge as me and Ellie are forced to jump in to escape the hail of bullets. She can't swim though, so I might as well have a weight belt on each arm instead of floaties, as I suffer from what only people who make fun of Mike Tyson's stutter go through. I wake up to Henry, knowing I would make it out alive, as he strategically got out of my way to let me cook while he's on the ground with a bro's cheek for obvious reasons. He did save me though, so there's that, I guess. We see a landed boat on the way with Captain Ahab writing out how he has to come back from sea because he ran out of food. Now, why he had to crash his ship into the harbor like he was a car bomb in a busy street in Northern Ireland, I have no idea. We decide travel by sewer is the move as Ellie goes through a duct and shows me another magic trick. Ahab got into the sewers before us though, as he tells us he's gonna hide out here for the rest of time. I get the third and final chapter of Ahab's Chronicles as he met new people and traded with them while trying to find the courage to ask them to stay in his sewer with him because they're lonely. Yeah, no, that's a great plan. Just like when that one guy told me to come to his van because he had candy in the back before saying he had to dig through my backside to get to it. I seem to be running out of bullets as I'm forced to use 3 against the runners who are carrying no ammo. Unconstitutional if it's to be assumed they were American, but I'm sure we'll find supplies some other way. I start looking around for a way out as me and Sam gets separated from the others by a guillotine, but the kids decide that flirting experience is more important than escaping with me and Henry not being able to lift up the metal door. We end up hearing clickers as Henry tells me he'll show what urban truly means if anything happens to Sam, and Joel tries to keep things quiet, even though it would make more sense for us to drag the clickers to our location, considering I doubt they have the metallurgy capabilities to bust through steel. After some fights with clickers, I'm out of health, ammo, weapons, and frankly I can't even see. The content here is dry as Joel and Sam have about as much chemistry as noble gases. The chemistry nerds are hooting and hollering at that, trust me. Good news is we finally make it to the others, who are in lap 2 of 3 in this Mario Kart IRL race as we zoom through, getting to a room that has a door being blocked from the other side, but Sam disobeys orders, slithering through and opening it for us. The exit is blocked on the other side as we send the kids out, with me and my 6 remaining bullets and Henry getting ready to deal with hell. At the end of this heroic last stand that would make the Doom games look like a round of Splatoon, I have about the same amount of bullets as I do brain cells after playing this for 10 hours straight, but the kids got the door open and I make my escape, getting a nice message from the other side that would have been helpful sooner. Henry and Sam bond as Joel wants to give relationships a try again, conversing with Ellie who tells me her trauma is over with as she laid so many clickers to rest, doctors are starting to prescribe her in place of melatonin. I find my second tool, a nail filer. Excellent. If my weapons ever want a manicure, I'll be fully prepared to indulge them. Henry asks how he mad as it just now dawned on him that this may be a Drake Bell situation.
Guilty.
But she assures him she wears the pants in this relationship and there's no need to worry. In this conveniently open field, I realize it's a boss zone as I hide behind a car and tell them to cover me while I flank, which they proceed to fail at as the only bullets I heard was the sniper whenever he took pot shots at me. I get to a good position on the top of the abandoned building, but the glint is in my eyes and strangely I missed 4 to 5 shots until I realized the game was conducting a social experiment to see how many bullets before I realize I need to go into the house, get jump scared, and then use the sniper rifle as an escort mission Call of Duty style. Unfortunately, the tank shows up, which is packing enough armor to withstand a nuclear blast of 30 consecutive hydrogen bombs. Eventually, the rider pokes his head out, and I turn off his lights, leading to the Molotov he wanted to throw to injure the vehicle, causing it to explode. The clickers hear that and come a running, but the others are able to make it through thanks to sniper support until I run out of bullets. No one is hurt, thankfully, and we make our way out before cutting back to us having some fun over a few can of beans at the safe house. Ellie decides to give us some privacy, as I'm sure the war over who will take the moniker of top between us will be fierce. Too gruesome, in fact, even for this type of game, as we cut to child labor instead, making a roaring return as Sam seems a little aggressive before asking philosophical questions that if I wasn't here to witness, I'd think is another Facebook post of a parent going, "My 5-year-old came up to me today and asked, 'Father, why must the corrupt capitalist system of the Western world be allowed to rob the average man of the sweat on his brow? Mustn't they realize that a true utopia can only be reached if the proletariat seizes the means of production from the filthy bourgeoisie?' Also, Ellie is scared of scorpions and her father figure left her and her mom for a broad. Ellie gives Sam the toy back, who chucks it on the ground afterward. That's not very polite. Okay, well, that's either finger paint given to an affectionate cat or it's a bite. Ellie wakes up the next day all refreshed as she's told to go get Sam, whose mother had to have used a vibrator religiously while pregnant with how jittery he is. Turns out he was bitten, but Henry says he's just groggy and he'll wake up before being met with the horrifying realization that he will not. Popping him before blaming me, and after I ask him for a source on that, he's fully countered and is forced to commit seppuku to restore his honor. After that traumatic experience, we time skip to the fall where me and Ellie need an industrial-grade ringer to deal with our drip as we get ready to see my little brother. Me and Tommy split because he joined a splinter cell of a terrorist organization, which is fairly understandable, as his last words to me were, "Run up on my block again and I'll turn your chest cavity into Swiss cheese." Don't worry, he'll still help us though.
Power plant.
Hydro-who?
It uses the river's movement and turns it into electricity.
How does it do that?
Look, I know what it is. I don't know how it does it.
That's fine, Joel, I can take it from here. The dam over here uses the current to produce electricity, just like the average TCLR subscriber uses nothing and converts it into matter. By leaving a like and subscribing, you too can create your own compounds and matter while also playing God in your free time, from running through the entire world population of woman and splicing the atom with your jawline, and two, more importantly, not miss out on future content. I run past not realizing Ellie wanted to give me a high five, devastating my mental as I was too late to give her one, so you know what I had to do.
Teamwork.
She says if I don't feed her, CPS will get an anonymous tip, so I find a corpse she can have until we catch more food, but she starts talking about her trauma with the death of Sam and Henry, but I tell her we're Southerners, and if I hear another word about sympathy for blacks, she'll be fighting against the Union in round 2. We get to a gated break and enter as the mere thought is enough to get a multitude of heavy-duty firearms aimed at us. It's a good thing Tommy is a part of this community as we embrace each other for the first time in decades. I thank her for not blowing me on the spot before asking her if she wants to blow me on the spot, but it turns out Tommy's already wifed her, steering this conversation into an awkward turn. They're here to try and get the power plant back to life and even have horses. After Tommy finishes making the horses foot-long weep, they call Maria, but she wants to eat, and with me having to talk to Tommy anyway, we both go to help the engineers, much to Ellie's chagrin. He gives me an old photo of Sarah, but my PTSD is still strong 30 years later, so I tell him I don't want it. The town is about 20 families and fully functioning crops and livestock, in stark contrast to the genes of this town in a few generations, as the Habsburg chin is going to be considered the norm with all the inbreeding going on. Tommy makes a $2 million bet that the repairs still won't be enough this time. A bet he'd lost 2 seconds later, leading me to give him advice on the highest yield OnlyFans poses he'll need to make up that cash before we get to talking. I tell him that Ellie's immune to the plague and smokes spores to get a high. If a clicker bites her, she'll bite it right back before getting on with her day. I beg Tommy to take her off my hands, to which he refuses since he has a wife now, but offers me some gear. Yes, Joel, please. I have 2 bullets left, this is perfect. I start guilt-tripping him and overall being a dogshit person as bandits attack our base. I reassure Tommy my genocide license is up to date and we get going. I pick up a sniper pistol, which sucks, but is the only gun with ammo in it, and after clearing the rooms, I get back to Ellie and Maria hiding in the corner like little putas. Ellie gives me an embellished recounting of events, where she heroically no-scoped 5 guards in a row before stopping the nuke they launched with a strand of her hair she fashioned into a nuke-stopping bullet. Tommy doesn't realize she's lying and decides it really is best for mankind if he gets this kid to the Fireflies after all, cutting to Maria calling him numerous slurs as Ellie asks me what, despite making up 12% of the population. up means. Maria says if anything happens to Tommy, I'm telling the Gestapo in the quarantine zones my grandfather was Jewish, raising the stakes considerably. Tommy says he'll take Ellie off my hands. She's gone. Me and Tommy hop on our rides and get going, following her tracks until a napalm strike throws me off, and it took me a couple tries to get by with no health packs and 4 bullets. But I eventually do as we make it to the Green Gables residence Ellie somehow reached despite the road being littered with bandits. I go inside and have a chat with Ellie. Yes, medkit, finally! Ellie is bewildered. Teenagers back then worried about boys and movies instead of clickers and pedophilic ass lickers. Wait till you get to the 2020s arc. You're either a hardcore liberal communist who wants to turn the frogs and children gay, or you're a far-right Nazi who wants to bring about the Fifth Reich. Ellie thinks I'm abandoning her, which I'm not. I only want to hand her over to Tommy and go back home and be rid of her. I say I can't protect her as she decides to bring up Sarah.
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie? You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
This is bad. This is very bad.
She says I'm the only person who hasn't abandoned her, as therapists around the country are engaged in a Squid Game-like competition, with the prize being a contract with Ellie, as the daddy issues are monumental enough to set them up for generations.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Tommy comes in and says the bandits are back. I stay still for about 30 minutes, not wanting to lose more of my health bar until I realize I have a nail bomb before rushing out and hitting the last guy with a gastroendoscopy, Oonga Boonga variant. Come on, Joel. Who you fooling? You ain't got no ammo in that shotgun. We get back to the town and Joel asks where the lab is. No, he wouldn't. Joel decides to take Ellie instead, and Tommy offers me a spot on the team. Assuredly, he'll give me some supplies considering we're on empty, right?
He didn't.
We somehow make it to the university with no supplies, supplementing food with confusion of football knowledge, as Ellie named our horse Callus, which sounds like a medical term used to describe pus-filled injuries. Ellie is bewildered at college students as Joel explains to her it's where people would live, study, find themselves, an abbreviation for finding themselves a new penis every week, and spend 50 grand on a music degree before spending the rest of their lives continuously uttering the phrase, "Welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order?" or some variation. I get to a door that's jerry-rigged, but I can only use sparingly because it's out of gas. Well, don't worry, I got some gas right here. I open the generator and the door as Ellie tells me she wants to be an actor for NASA, and I tell her I wanted to sing about my tractor when I was young. She begs me to sing something, but you could CBT me in a not playful manner and I still wouldn't squeal. I move through an abandoned dorm and read a dire. I'm not reading all that. Happy for you. We're sorry that happened. Who would have thunk that clickers would be at this location as I deal with one before another catches me red-handed handling an unconscious person, but I've dealt with clickers before.
Well, it's a big show.
Well, this will be a little harder than I thought. I sneak past, deciding I am decisively not him, but he hears me pick the lock and I have to go back to Ellie and tell her how a fat ass almost mistook me for some titties and was in the process of motorboating my urethra. We try figuring out why they would have infected so close to their home base, and Joel gives a piss water response as I check to see how much time has passed. About 7 hours. Yup, this game isn't over just yet. There will be no fireflies here. Final gate, and Joel is done with this shit and sends down a dumpster to break it open before we sneak into their base. Ellie screams at the top of her lungs trying to get sniped, but it seems they've all packed and left in a hurry, as the only people left are some college students trying to cook something other than ramen noodles or a sandwich. We break into the control room and find a corpse that looks like a ghoul from Fallout, as he says that the others have left and there's no hope for humanity. But if you really want to find them, Utah's your only option. This poses numerous problems since we have to go to Utah, which is very far away and is Utah, but just as I'm trying to convince Ellie that a cure isn't worth traveling to the Mormon spawn camp, we got company. We make our escape, committing homicide on the way as I get into a little struggle with this one guy and, yep, there goes my liver. Despite my decrepit state, I still can't kill a few more goons before Ellie picks me up in a gruesome scene and I gritty my way to the window. Ellie goes for the flank as this villain starts monologuing about how he misses his friends and it's all my fault, giving Ellie time to whiff a point-blank shot, giving me the opportunity to send him to his friends to corroborate their stories because it assuredly wasn't my fault that they were dead. I shimmy my way through as 2 more guys come down and my anus has never been clenched tighter. The health inspector himself wouldn't be able to penetrate my defenses.
You can call me the health inspector.
But Ellie manages to survive, and after getting out and popping the getaway driver, we ride out. Too bad my guts have been rearranged to suboptimal locations and I collapse, ending off the fall season. We arrive at winter where there's this cute little snow bunny just minding his own business. Look how cute he is. Ellie decides this isn't enough to go #1 in the PETA draft and finds a doe to help her achieve her goals. I Kobe the crap out of this bitch and end up following his bleeding trail, wondering how a living thing could survive with this much blood loss. Okay, well there's your answer. A few middle-aged men come out talking about how they just want to talk with the end of my tool, maybe. Who are you and what's your opinion on Donald Trump? Answer properly or you'll catch my, 8mm, I would guess. He starts crying about how they have a hungry group of women and children and want to trade for my deer as I ask for antibiotics. The second guy goes to fulfill my request. I take his rifle and we eventually take shelter from the cold and start conversing until a clicker shows up, but it's a good thing David is not trustworthy as me and him get back to work. Ellie is not Joel though. Joel would be able to body these zombies in single combat. Ellie has to stab them 50 times to have any effect. David sees the situation as hopeless with our acute lack of urban, and we make our escape as the platform gives way, forcing me to sneak past the clickers on my own. I just sprint. I'm not dealing with these people.
Yeah, no shit.
Watch your language.
Who the fuck do you think you are? Bro over here's built like children are his passion, trying to tell me what I can and cannot say. Ah, shit. There's a huge amount of supplies here. These are David's boys, and if we don't want to end up like them, we have to find a way out, but considering zombies are pouring out of every orifice, it proves difficult. Eventually, a bloater makes his Borderlands-style appearance, half expected to get the boss profile along with it as I manage to avoid his mustard gas in a can. And with David as my meat shield, we're able to take down the giant after a Molotov cocktail shaken not stirred is thrown. David lets me know that everything happens for a reason and proves it by regaling us about a story of how he sent a group of men out to look for food, who ended up getting shot up by a little girl and man in a university. Wait. He tells James to lower the gun and give me the medicine, which he does, so the leash doesn't need any tightening, I suppose, as I take the medicine, confirming his true motive to be quite sinister, but I ignore his obvious attempts at grooming and bolt. Assuredly, you'll ensure that they can't track you, right, Ellie? Ellie? Zoom in on the tracks. I give Joel some penicillin and go to sleep, only to wake up at the gang showing up, and with Joel easily getting cleared by Hezbollah in this state, I decide I have to draw them away, so I ride Callus and make my daring escape. Some people try to hitch a ride, but there's only occupancy for one as I dash through, but...
Get the horse!
Callus! No! With melee combat proving ineffective since I am a little girl, homicide is the superior option as I get to a nature track before I silently slaughter half the extraction team. Okay, imagine you're hunting a little girl, you think it's gonna be easy and she no-scopes you in the head before going, and Fortnite dancing over your dying body. I get through a hole into the building, pop a hunter as another hunter believes going in the same exact place his partner died in would turn out better for him, and almost escape until David slithers in, knocking me out before I wake up in a cage.
Ain't no way, ain't no fucking way, no contemplate.
David shows up with dinner. Yeah, I'm not feeling too hungry right now. Thanks, though. The Aztec sacrifice you guys going on really made me lose my appetite. I decide to eat after he promises me it's venison. It probably wasn't, considering this isn't even well done. It's congratulations with how charred it is. As he blames us for killing his comrades who so happen to be hunting us as venison, as they don't draw the line anywhere in this PETA poster. He starts rizzing me up and I play along, acting like a little girl, just waiting to be groomed. Got your nose, bitch! After a thinly veiled threat, Joel wakes up, still suffering from a bacterial infection as I hear the hunters outside and make my way out before they ambush me. Finally! This is Joel we're talking about, so I hit him with the close combat.
Let me go. I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed. Joel says the girl are your kneecaps and shows he is not fucking around. Wait, he actually did say girl are your kneecaps. He points out the exact same spot Ellie is in, at risk of losing his life if his friend there doesn't corroborate before I snap his neck. This poses a bit of a problem as the second guy really has no motive to tell me anything since he'll know I'll just kill him anyway.
That's all right. I believe him.
No, wait!
After I get my legs to stop shaking from the goodness I just witnessed, Ellie wakes up to the butcher team who sets me on the table, forcing me to divulge my secret. I show him the bite and claim he's infected as well before taking that opportunity of confusion to catch a body and slip through the window with a knife. I stab the fuck out of this one guy, take his revolver. Hey, would you look at that? More ammo than what I'm accustomed to. Through the blizzard, I make my way to the kitchen, and just as I escape, David wrestles me back in, and despite the fact he has a potential killing blow against me, he decides to let me slither away while he locks the door, and it's time for the last boss fight of the game. The broken glass on the ground? Without Mr. Clean around to clean it up, he can hear it as I'm forced to sneak up behind him without stepping on the glass, which proves difficult, and stab him, as even if I come from a 90-degree angle, he still uses me like a tampon. After the second stabbing, I spend hours looking for him before I realize he's went into hiding too, and him not knowing that I know that he knows my strategy. And countering it, I sneak behind him and stab him for the third time. As his fat-ass frame knocks me out, sending us back to Joel. The St. Nicholas skin makes an appearance as he finds Ellie's bag and a very disturbing shopping list as I move through the freezer, thanking myself for not eating this morning. Until I get to the scene of Ellie and David's arson attack. Ellie tries in vain, crawling to the machete as David says, just FF, it's over, until he mounts me. Uh-oh. I was only kidding when I said he looked like the type of guy to gank a middle school with EDP, but he wasn't. He goes monologuing on how he's a dangerous animal and I have no idea what he's capable of and how nice guys always finish last, before I decide to partake in teaching him the proper butchering technique of the human skeleton. Of course, I'm really putting Ellie in the wrong here. She really had absolutely no right to stab him like that after what he just did to her. I mean, what she should have done is she should have taken a guillotine and slowly inched her way, cutting off his fingers, then hand, then bits of his arms, until she gets to slicing his body in half Mortal Kombat style.
Quan Chi wins. Fatality.
Joel shows up, and despite my bloodlusted state, I am able to recognize it is him, and we embrace before making our way out, with the scores being Pedo 0, Serial Killers 1. The final season is springtime, a time of life, growth, hope, youth, and PTSD of what David tried to do to us a few months ago. We're on kiddo terms now, so I'm fairly certain Joel has to start paying child support at this point. Ellie seems kinda quiet and even doesn't want to join in on our tag team special move. I get her up and she drops the ladder, forcing me to follow her as she excitedly looks around, but I don't see nothing. Finally, though, the giraffe stops sprinting at Mach 10 like Candace's mom just showed up to make me look foolish, and we pet the giraffe as nature is taking back its rightful place on Earth. There's a whole herd of them, which makes you think, I mean, why don't the runners or clickers go for these things? I'm fairly certain that the giraffe would die to a bite unless they're immune, so maybe use them to experiment with instead of Ellie? I tell her we don't have to do this, even though we just trekked across the country for over a year. Sunk cost fallacy has its claws deep inside her. We are doing this shit. I let her know we're in this together as we get to a medical base where lots of military equipment was left behind, or Afghanistan, I can't really tell. I finally deal with my past trauma and talk about Sarah without seeing red as Ellie gives me the photo Tommy had and Joel actually takes it this time. Nah, could you imagine if Joel just slapped her and said, "What did I tell you about that?"
Mighty thin ice here.
Ellie says she just knows this is the right place as it has been 10 hours of in-game time so far, and I can oh my god, supplies. Just sitting there. I'm gonna need a lot more considering there's 4 runners, 3 clickers, 2 bloaters, and a partridge in a pear tree for me to deal with, but here goes nothing. I try sneaking through and sprinting, but Ellie says there's no time. What do you mean no time? There's plenty! But it seems I'll have to deal with the ops first, and deal with them I do. Those nights playing Kina weren't for naught as I'm able to train the zombies, running a train on them. That is, as I fuck each and every one before we continue getting Ellie over a fence. Whoa now. Can't wait for those things to stop being a threat now, huh? We unfortunately get to a deep river with unstable objects we have to jump across. As I recall, Ellie can't swim.
My fellow Americans, I think we all know where this is going, so let's just skip to the end.
I slip and Ellie tries to save me before she gets knocked out and I'm forced to save her, getting her out of the water, trying to resuscitate her as the fireflies show up. Thank you, I'll need all the help I can. What? I'm reviving a drowned girl, what do you think I'm doing? Trying to get her to huff and puff out a flamethrower like she was Rico from Penguins of Madagascar? And then they knock me out. Some things never change, I guess. As after this blatant display of police brutality, I half expect someone to shoot up a school, or a hospital in the near future. I wake up to Marlene, good as new, watching me sleep, confirming her desire for the Joe Latte, a creamy white ice cream substance found in Italy, or inside Joel's pants if you want the organic version. Ellie is alright, which flabbergasts Marlene, who didn't think, hey, wait a minute. You got here before I did, why didn't you take her? Although considering she lost 90% of her squad just trying to make it here, it's probably best I'm the one who escorted Ellie. Ellie is being prepped for surgery as the virus grows on the brain and they need to extract a sample. She's not making it out, is she? Joel is livid at this thought, although objectively it is the right choice, let's be real, but Joel doesn't see that as he's escorted out by the security guard for the Fireflies under Marlene's orders of fire at the slightest sign of trouble. I'm with Marlene, though. We need a vaccine, and if it costs Ellie's life, it's a sacrifice we need to make. Did you say genocide? Me and Joel are unstoppable here as we don't even give him time to respond and ball shoot him twice until he gives us directions to Ellie's current location. Afterwards, we proceed to make the Joker's crimes look like a misdemeanor at best after, of course, I die over and over and over again, but that's not important. I also find an assault rifle, best gun in the game.
George, way off. It's the side of the backboard.
Eventually, I make my way to the doctor's chambers, who decides after getting past his numerous armed guards, a doctor wielding a surgery knife is gonna stop me. The second doctor's got the right mindset. He's just here to do his 9 to 5, bro. Someone wants to come in, commit homicide, and steal my patient? That ain't none of my problem. I save Ellie and make my way out somehow, considering I'm no longer armed, and just as I get down from the elevator, Marlene is waiting for me, imploring me to stop this madness and think logically. Oblivious to the fact I'm still a serial killer, dropping her gun and saying she'll smooth over the 50 or so deaths I just committed, as long as I put Ellie back. We fast forward to me in a car driving back to Tommy's with Ellie in the back and go back to me showing Marlene why you should never negotiate with Ted Bundy if you have the advantage. I mean, honestly, her putting the firearm down was the stupidest thing she could have ever done, but go off. All the while I straight up lie, fib, politician Ellie, telling her that immunity is jack all and we're going back home. Marlene begs for her life, but Joel is Himothy and knows she'll just come after us as I make sure Reddit posts about "Is Marlene secretly alive?" get zero traction. We come back to the present and get to Tommy's place as Ellie regales me about her friend and their story, which is included in the DLC, by the way. So if you want to see that along with Last of Us Part 2, let me know down below in the comments. She makes me swear that what I told her was the truth and nothing but the truth. I proceed to start talking with my shitter instead of my mouth, ending the first Last of Us game. Let me know down below if you want me to do Part 2 and check out my other content linked down below in the pinned comment and what other games you want me to do. I'll see you all next time. Peace.